co-chairs of transportation. Also, Jamie and Elizabeth. They're not here to join us tonight, but all four of us are in agreement that tonight's discussion will be just a discussion and not a resolution on this item. So with that, I am now making a motion to adopt the agenda with this one change. So moved. Anyone second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Also, please note that Alex Bell and Sofia Vala both have waivers to attend remotely tonight due to unexpected childcare and unexpected travel issues, respectively. Yes.
Do you have any idea when Councilmember Boncher's bill will be reviewed by the full council?
No.
No
Do
idea.
you have any?
I think if you look on the history of the legislation, they reviewed it when it was introduced and then it was remanded to a different committee and that has not been picked up by that committee yet. I've looked on the schedule and I haven't seen it. I can take a look again. I may have missed it, but this is just based on my review quickly.
Okay. Do you know if Councilmember Brewer has signed on to that bill yet?
Yes. I can answer that.
Yeah.
Do we know that it's a matter of public record?
Yes, that's a matter
Okay.
of public record. The intro 967, which is the bill to ban carriage horses, was sent to the Committee on Health. It has not received a hearing there. I think this bill has 20 sponsors and Gail Brewer is one of them. She's relatively recent.
Got it.
All right. Can we just, we'll discuss the horse carriages in more detail when the item comes up. But right now, let's move on to the first item on the agenda, which is a discussion also by Central Park Conservancy by the Capital and Design team. So Diane, Jack here, Kestenbaum is here along with her team. So do you want to take it away, Diane?
Sure. Thank you. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you. I'm Diane Jacker-Kestenbaum. I'm the Vice President for Program Management. I'm here with two of my colleagues, Sandy Huber, who is our Senior Vice President for our Capital Projects team, and Nick Koster, who is our Vice President for Design. So we are going to quickly show you three projects. The first one is the concert ground benches, just for everyone's edification, a project that's going to be coming up this fall. And then Bethesda Fountain and Grand Army Plaza Lighting, which we are asking for resolutions for. So I'm going to hand it over to Nick to start with the concert ground benches.
Great.
I'm going to share my screen, if that's okay, and I'm going to drive the presentation. Can everyone see my screen?
Coming, loading.
There we go.
There we go. Great. Okay.
Okay, great. As Diane mentioned, the first project we're sharing today, it's an in-kind replacement of the seats and backs of the concert ground benches. Next. So the seats and backs, they've reached the end of their useful life, and as part of this restoration, we'll be updating a few details and the wood selection for increased durability. Next. So the project is located at the southern end of the park, at the northern end of the mall near Bethesda Fountain and south of the 72nd Street Cross Drive. Next. This is a historical image of the benches with the Calvert box designed benches. This area became very popular for concerts with the original bandstand that you see in the background. Next. By the 1920s, the Naumburg bandshell, which is there today, was built to provide a better venue for the concert ground benches, which were removed around that same time because they weren't oriented towards the bandshell. So concerts continued in this area for many decades, but activity slowed in the 70s, which was concurrent with the decline of the park. Next. So the Conservancy rebuilt the benches to their historic design in the early 1990s. And here's a photo of the staff installing those replicated benches. Next. So over the years, we've done small repairs and maintenance on the benches, but it's now time really for a full-scale reconstruction. The bench slats are splintering or missing in some cases, and some of the posts are damaged. Next. So our scope for this project is to replace all of the wooden bench slats on the seats in the backs and replicate the unique flower pattern. We're planning on using a wood called Akoya, which is a very durable wood. We've been using it very successfully on the Bow Bridge and the Gothic Bridge deck replacements that have happened in the past 2 years, and it's holding up very well. We'll be reusing the cast aluminum bench posts. They're going to be getting removed, taken to the shop, getting the old paint stripped off them and reapplied before reinstalling. We're going to be removing and resetting the asphalt hex block pavers around the benches in order to remove the post. This is a project that we're going to phase. So there are 8 sections of the benches out there. They'll be going offline in sections of 2. And we, as Diane mentioned, we hope to get this started in the late fall, and it's something that's going to be phased around events, and we expect it to take probably between 6 and 9 months to complete the entirety of the work.
You told me to tell you.
That's it for the concert ground. As Diane mentioned, this is one that we're not looking for a resolution on, but if there are any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Will this work take place through the winter, or will you start it in the spring?
Yeah, it's going to be taking place through the winter. So a lot of it is shop work. So the posts getting stripped, a lot of the benches and slats, that fabrication will be in creating everything to the exact measurements will be happening in the shop. And it's really just reinstallation that will be happening throughout the fall, winter into the spring. The goal is to phase it and try to get it done as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
Any other questions in the room? Anybody on Zoom? If you have a question, you may raise your hand right now. Okay, there are no questions. Diane, do you want to? Yeah, let's move on to the next item.
Okay, great. So the next project we're sharing is a restoration of the Bethesda Fountain. Next slide. So the last restoration to the overall fountain was in 1981, and the last restoration of Angel on the Water was in 1988. So there are areas of deterioration that need to be addressed. So our specific goals for the project are really modernizing the systems for performance. We're going to be adding an RPC for backflow prevention and code compliance, and there are details that have been removed over time and lost since the original construction, and we're going to reintroduce those where feasible. So next, the fountain's just located just north of the concert ground benches on the other side of the 72nd Street cross drive. Next. We have a lot of historic drawings from the original fountain to draw from for research of the design intent and the missing elements. Next. We also have extensive photos of the fountain, which is a very popular element in the park. Those have also really helped us with our research. Next, this is a photo from the earliest 20th century. It shows when a terrace was repaved to the paving that we are familiar with today. Next, this is a photo of the fountain in its current condition. The Conservancy, we manage and maintain the fountain, including the annual rewaxing, the cleaning, and any ongoing maintenance issues with water flow and water quality. Next. I'm going to walk through the restoration proposal now and start with the sculpture and bronze features. So this is a side-by-side showing existing on the left, proposed on the right. Starting from the top, there's a bronze applique below the putti that's going to be restored to restore the currently exposed stonework. There's a bronze lip at the middle basin. We're going to be removing that, cleaning it, and reinstalling it. There are some underlying issues causing staining on the granite bowl that need to be addressed. And we are also intending to replace the floral bronze caps for water flow along that lip. Moving down, you'll see that a bronze flower applique in the niches has been added. Those are an element that has lost. We know that they were there. There are still the holes where they were attached to the stone. They're currently being modeled by our conservation staff for recasting and reintroduction. And the final is the bronze lip down at the lowest level of stone in the fountain. Next. So moving on to the basin. So the concrete basin is in extremely poor condition with cracks. It's deteriorating and not waterproofed. That will be getting fully removed, waterproofed, and replaced in kind. Next. The existing basin walls have been thickened over time from additional layers of concrete that have been applied over the years. We're going to be restoring that to a more historic profile. Next. So now moving into plan to talk about some of the systems work. So all of the work for the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems is currently located to the northeast of the fountain. Currently, there's an existing below-grade vault that is mostly concealed within the landscape. Next. So the upgrades that we're going to be making for the systems will be housed in the same location and include 3 new structures that will be screened by some new proposed planting. Next. This zoomed in plan is showing the 3 structures with their dimensions. The structures include the new RPZ backflow preventer that's going to be installed for bringing it up to code. There's a below grade filtration and equipment that's going to be added, and that's really for water quality. The size of the vault is driven by the size of the equipment and the need for frequent access from the maintenance staff to be cleaning the filters. And the final is an electrical panel for controlling and powering the new equipment. So next, now we'll showcase this through sections. So this is a section being cut through the fountain, showing and highlighting that most of the work is actually below grade, as you see in sort of the dashed lines below the white, and that very little of those structures protrude above ground. Next. So this is a section that's cut through the path if you're approaching it from the boathouse. The site slopes down towards the lake, and the electrical cabinet is 4 feet in height, and the RPZ enclosure is 3'9", and they step down towards the water. And to show you what this looks like, we could go to the next slide. This is a current view. If you're walking down the path towards the fountain, you can see the concrete of the vault just sort of poking out from behind the multi-stem tree. Next slide. This is a rendering showing the addition of the electrical and RPZ cabinet and their related foundations. And next, finally, image showing the proposed screening of the shrubs that would be added around this that would achieve around 4.5 foot maturity and screen those elements from view of the fountain. That is our presentation for the updates at Bethesda. This work we are planning to start next June, and we're estimating that it'll take a year to complete.
Are there any questions related to the Bethesda?
The fountain water.
Sorry, that cut out. Was there a question?
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering where the fountain water ends up. Is it recycled back to that system structure you showed us?
Yeah. Yep. So we'll be filtering it through for water quality. So any of the plant matter that gets gets in from the aquatic plants or anything that gets thrown in will be sort of cycled through that filtration system. It'll be recirculating.
Great.
Are there any questions?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was in contact with Councilman Eric Botcher, and he does want to join the meeting.
Okay.
So I think he was gonna sign in via Zoom, so, sure.
Are you from the office, from
No,
Eric Botcher's
I'm not from
office?
the office, but
So
I'm-
what is your connection to
Oh,
Eric Botcher?
I'm the executive director of Night Class, so we work on the horse carriage issue and we work with Eric on legislation, so.
Right.
Oh, that is your connection. Okay.
What's your name?
Adita Burnett.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say I'm very excited about this. When I was an intern with the Central Park Conservancy doing monuments conservation, we started the process of modeling the flowers for Bethesda Fountain. So it's very exciting to see that something that my classmates and I worked on when we were grad students is becoming reality. So really appreciate you guys sticking with it. Thank you.
Great.
Anybody? Yeah, Kate.
How long will the fountain be out of commission during this whole process?
For a year. It'll go on next spring and run through early June. And we're planning to have the construction mobilize in early to mid-June and plan on it taking a year and starting up the following June. So it will be on both years, but there'll be a period of time that it'll be out in 2025, or excuse me, 6.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I have a question, and I've asked Eric or Sofia this before. Is there any plans or any way to consider like that, since there's a reconstruction or restoration of the fountain, of lighting the fountain at night?
Yeah, we've actually done a master lighting plan for the entire area, and that's not currently part of the funding that we have. So if all goes well, that'll be something that we'll be coming back to you for at a future date.
And what would be the budget for such a project to light the fountain at night?
It's included with other general lighting in the area, so I don't really have that broken out, but it's in the couple $100,000 range. But we are doing with that electrical panel that we're putting in, that will be able to support those future lights.
Okay. Anybody else in the room who has a question about this? Anybody on Zoom? If you have a question about the Bethesda Fountain, please, you may raise your hand now. Okay, thank you. I think you guys have one final item, right?
Yes, we do. It's Grand Army Plaza Lighting. So we just wanted to quickly roll through this. If we could go to the next slide, just to ground everyone. I'm sure many of you know where Grand Army Plaza is, but here's our location map. We're looking at both Grand Army Plaza North and South, which are at the southeast corner of the park. North is obviously north of Grand Central Park South, and the South Plaza is just south of it. Next slide, please. So the South Plaza has actually been under construction since June 2024, and that's why we are here today, because of an issue that has come up during that construction project. So it's a really going to be a really beautiful project when it's done. It's supposed to be completed in early 2026. We are completely restoring Pulitzer Fountain. If we go to the next slide, we are also restoring the Pomona statue on top. She is currently in a studio in Ossining and will be returned shortly. If we go to the next slide, We are expanding the vault underneath the fountain to provide greater access to our operations staff to perform maintenance. And next slide will also show another big ticket item that we're doing here is replacing all of the bluestone, all the granite work, and we're restoring to the historic paving patterns that were designed from the original design of this plaza in the early 1900s. And so an issue has come up specifically related to the lighting as we've been moving forward with this construction project. If we go to the next slide, we'll see what the project goals are for this project. We are looking to maintain the lighting levels required to meet public safety standards. And of course, we want to use historically appropriate fixtures. We want to make sure we meet DOT requirements for lighting infrastructure and maintenance. And then lastly, we're looking to light some of the beautiful features that are part of Grand Army Plaza, including the General Sherman Monument and the Pomona statue. So going to the next slide, just to give everybody some background, you may remember in October 2011, there was a big snow and ice storm that actually destroyed all of the trees in Grand Army Plaza North. The North Plaza is on the right side of your screen and the South Plaza is on your left. So that storm spurred the Conservancy to do a redesign and a restoration project for both plazas. And at the time, we went through the public review process to the community boards, to the Public Design Commission, and the Landmarks Preservation Commission. Construction started on the North Plaza in 2014. It was completed in 2015. The expectation was that the construction for the South Plaza was going to start shortly thereafter, but there were funding issues and COVID, so it didn't go forward, as I said, until June 2024. But what this plan shows is what the lighting plan was that was approved at the time that we went through the public review process about 10 years ago. And so we installed this lighting plan in Grand Army Plaza North. We're expecting to do the same thing at the South Plaza. If we go to the next slide, the issue that has come up is that what we were expecting to do was install the light fixtures in the center picture here. That's what's installed in Grand Army Plaza North. There are these beautiful fixtures. They're based on a historic photograph on the left from 1933. And so this is what we were proposing to put in Grand Army Plaza South. But the issue that came up is this photo on the right, what's included in this red box, which is called a photocell. So some of you may know that the Department of Transportation actually maintains all the lights in public parks and public plazas. So they do this in Grand Army Plaza as well. And at the time when we designed these for Grand Army Plaza North, we worked with DOT to add what's called a photocell, which allows the lights to automatically sense when the light level's lower outside and the lights turn on automatically. So this was a custom fixture that we designed and installed. But what's happening is that these photocells, there's one on each of those fixtures in Grand Army Plaza North. They are not easy to maintain, and I think they break. When they break, it's hard for DOT to fix them and hard to maintain. So they said, sorry, Conservancy, you can't put them in Grand Army Plaza South. So we had to come up with another solution. And so one of the solutions that DOT offered us was to put in what's called a B pole, which is a different type of pole that has a photocell that's on top, but that is not a historic pole. It wouldn't match what's in Grand Army Plaza North, so we didn't want to use that. The other alternative that DOT gave us was to do a larger pole, a 25-foot pole, and it would gang all of the light fixtures together in Grand Army Plaza South, and the photocell could go on top. So if we go to the next slide, we can see a few of the alternatives that we looked at. One was at the south end of the plaza, right outside of Bergdorf Goodman. That sidewalk proved to be too busy, had too much infrastructure, both on the pole that we were looking at and underneath, so that wasn't an option. If we go to the next slide, we can see the second alternative we looked at, which was just also off the landmark site, but this is at street bed level. It's not a raised sidewalk, and DOT needs this to be a raised sidewalk. So this was not an option either. So the solution that we've come up with and what we're looking for approval today is to, if we go to the next slide, we're looking to have two poles in both two in the south and two in the north plaza to address this photocell issue. They would be put in these grassed areas and sort of create that symmetry that is so important in these plazas and is something that DOT can maintain, and this the Conservancy is comfortable with. So what this sort of made us think about was something that we're coming also a second part of this proposal is something that we probably would have come back to you at some point in the future to do, but since we're putting these poles in now, we figured it was a good time to do this, which is actually to light the monuments, these beautiful features that are in the plaza. So to light the Pomona statue in Grand Army Plaza South and General Sherman in Grand Army Plaza North. So if we go to the next slide, we can see the Conservancy has actually been installing lighting throughout the park in recent years. Here are a few examples. The most recent is on your bottom right, which is Conservatory Garden. In the Italian Garden, we just added lighting to light the beautiful pergola that was restored and the fountain. If we go to the next slide, we can see there's actually historic precedent to have these light fixtures in the park to light these beautiful features. This is a plan from 1956. The red dots on this plan actually show the spotlights and floodlights that were specifically directed to Sherman and Pomona. If we go to the next slide, we can see some of those details. There was floodlights on some of the lampposts. That's shown in the detail on the left, and on the right, there is a detail from a 20-foot pole that was also installed in the plaza. If we go to the next slide, here's a photograph that shows these these spotlights that had been installed. And if we go to the next slide, these were actually removed the last time the Conservancy did a restoration of Grand Army Plaza, which is the late 1980s. Those red dots have black hatches in them. So they were removed. And the plan was, if we go to the next slide, we can see the idea was that these spotlights were going to be added to adjacent buildings. So it was going to be at the plaza, at the Sherry Netherland, at the GM building. And that was the intent, to light these beautiful monuments, but that plan never went forward. So we're proposing to do it now. Just to give you some existing conditions photos of what it looks like now, the next slide shows General Sherman. He's pretty hard to see at night. The next slide shows Pomona. You can barely see her, even though the fountain is lit. Pomona really doesn't have any light on her. So we've been working with our lighting consultant. If we go to the next slide, we can show you just some precedents to show other light fixtures throughout the city at different landmarks. We have the Davis Center, the recently constructed Davis Center at the north end of the park. We have City Hall Park. New York Public Library has several poles outside of that building as well. And then we've also just included Little Island to show some examples. And the next slide will show you a section of what this would look like. This is the South Plaza. So Pomona is 31 feet from ground to the top of her head, showing it in context with other light fixtures in the park. There's one pole that shows what this photo cell would look like, which is 25 feet. It is similar in height to the street lights, which are just over 27 feet, and the lampposts are 12 feet. The next slide shows a section of the North Plaza showing General Sherman is 24 feet to the top of his head, showing where this photo cell would be in relationship to that. And then again, the light posts and the street lights. So the next slide just gives a little bit of the analysis that we've been working on with our lighting consultants. This just shows the light wash that will be directed towards Sherman and Pulitzer. And if we go to the next slide, there are some details showing what this would look like. We've been figuring out if we could taper the pole. That's our intent, is to hopefully taper the pole, potentially stack the lights. Each pole on the south end will have 3 light fixtures. They are 10 inches in diameter. And the poles on the north side, there will be 4 light fixtures on each one of those. And you can sort of see what the section would look like for that as well, because there is also, the photo cell is a tiny little circle at the top of the pole, but there's also a control box that has to be included to maintain the photo cell and ensure that it's working. So because we have 2 different poles on each plaza, we can actually make that custom, that control box a little more customized and a little bit smaller, which is to our benefit. So this is what it would look like. And then the last slide that we have to show you is just a rendering of what those light poles would look like. This is a rendering in the South Plaza. you can sort of barely see them, which of course is, really what happens. Some of these fixtures, these features, they're like manhole covers. They're things you see in parks all the time. They're very common. And so this is what we are proposing. So I know I talk fast. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, does anybody in the room have any questions about? Yes.
Yeah, I'm just curious if any research has been done about like the bird population and the lighting.
Yes, I'm sorry. I forgot to include that in one of my comments. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. So we have also asked our consultant, our lighting consultant, about that as well. And given that there's so many other taller buildings around the plaza that also emit light, both inside and outside, there is not an expectation this would impact the birds. We're also using a cool light instead of a warm light. And if there is certainly, of course, an issue with bird migration, there is an ability to turn these off, which we could do as well. So we have been looking at that, and as I said, there is not an expectation that this would impact the birds. There are also going to be sort of shielded lights as well. So that would also minimize the impact to the birds.
Is there anybody else in the room who has a question or a comment about this? Oh, yeah.
I'm just wondering about the energy consumption. Will these be on all night? Do you know the energy consumption? And I mean, it's really great to have beautiful statues like this lit at night. But then again, we're in an age of climate change. We're trying to reduce how much, the load on the electrical grid as much as possible.
I don't know the impact of that. Nick, I'm not aware if you know.
We haven't dialed into sort of what the loads would be, but they are LED fixtures, so very efficient, and they will be programmable. So we haven't quite gotten into the operations of it yet in terms of when they would be shutting on or off. But that's something we can continue to have conversations about for sure.
Great.
Is there anybody on the Zoom who has a question? You may raise your hand now. No. I was just wondering, Diane, so that option for lighting the statues from nearby buildings, it's simply not an option anymore?
Correct.
And is there a reason why?
I think it's probably just too difficult operationally to do something like that. There was, the intent was to do it in the late 1980s, and it didn't go forward at the time because it was just too difficult to do. And that's the same today. I don't know if someone's speaking. I don't know if you guys froze for a moment.
I think they'll come back.
Okay.
There they are.
But their office is muted.
Sorry, we can't hear you.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Diane, were you able to hear my question about the possibility of solar?
No, I did not.
So is there a possibility of, it's an add-on to Ken's question about the burden on the electrical grid. Have you thought about powering by solar, or is that?
I could answer this one, Diane, if you want.
Yeah.
So I know that the Parks Department has worked with the DOT extensively on this, and DOT actually will not support solar-powered fixtures. So it's something that we had off the table, and also just due to the historic importance of the plaza, we're trying to find something that is going to be the most minimal, and we have yet to sort of see a solar panel light fixture design that would sort of, I think, fit the aesthetic requirements that we're trying to achieve, or aesthetic goals we're trying to achieve.
Okay. All right. Is there anybody else who has a question or a comment? Okay. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Sure. Just to confirm, you're looking for a resolution for both the resolutions for both the Grand Army Plaza and the Bethesda Fountain, is that correct?
Correct.
Are you looking for separate resolutions, or would you be okay with putting into one?
One is fine, whatever's easiest for you.
Okay, so we are going to vote on a resolution combining these two projects into one, and the proposed resolution is going to read, therefore be it resolved that Manhattan Community Board 7 approves the plan as presented today by the Central Park Conservancy for the reconstruction and restoration of Bethesda Fountain and Grand Army Plaza Lighting. All right, I make a motion to adopt that resolution. You second. So can we call for a vote then?
Yes.
All right, so all in favor? Committee members only first.
So this is the Parks and Environment Committee.
Committee
only.
members only, yes. So it's
Okay, so
and then online we have Alex. Yeah.
Lottie, are you voting? Okay.
Yeah, I did vote.
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
Alex
she's a
is,
committee
we got
member.
you.
Do you want me to vote with the Alex?
No.
And Sophia, did you vote? Okay, great. So we got Sophia and Alex online too. So it's
11.
no, it's 8 plus 2. Is that right? Or is this? Oh, we got more.
Yeah.
So it's
Because
9.
who came? Lottie came. Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 8.
Plus
and
2.
then plus 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So congratulations. The resolution
And you need a
has.
non-committee vote.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Can we go ahead and get a vote from non-committee members here? All in favor? Any opposed? Any not voting for, or any abstentions or not voting for cause?
And there's nobody on the.
All right. Yep. So congratulations, the resolution has passed with unanimous votes from both committee members and non-committee members.
Yeah, it's the vote is 8-0-0-0 and 4-0-0-0.
10, oh yeah, 10-0.
It has to be ratified
10.
at full board.
10-0-0-0.
Yeah. All right.
Yes, it
Thank
has
you.
passed in committee.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Yeah, have a good night. Thank you. All right. So, just a second before we queue up our speakers.
If anybody didn't sign in,
Sorry.
I just signed
Oh,
in.
yeah.
If anyone didn't sign in, the QR code's right. There you go.
An easy way to do it is just to save it as a favorite
Good idea.
and just, so you don't need that.
Yeah, which we had a big one on the wall.
What do you do?
You save it as a favorite on your iPhone so that when you go to a meeting, you just pull it up automatically without having to.
On your browser, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
Can I, before we get to our second item of the evening, if there's anybody here on Zoom, any member of the public who would like to testify on the topic of horse carriages in Central Park, could you just raise your hand right now? We're not going to call on you right now. We just need to make sure that we know for planning
There's
purposes.
quite a number, and unfortunately, I don't know why we're getting this signal here again.
7 hands raised.
Okay.
Yeah.
Disconnected again.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next and final item, actually, before I do that, I just wanted to make a quick announcement for Parks and Environment Committee members. If you could stay on just very briefly. After this item, we have some old business. Thank you. Our next and final item is a discussion regarding the operation of horse carriages in Central Park. Please note that tonight's discussion is limited to horse carriages only. We will not be talking about any other mode of transportation, large or small, in the park tonight. We will call on everybody who wants to speak, either on Zoom or in the room. But first, we'll call on certain stakeholders whom we have here with us. I know that we have Christina Hansen. She's here to represent the Transport Workers Union. We have the Central Park Precinct here. Thank you very much. And I think your commanding officer is also online.
There he is.
Thank you. We also have Central Park Conservancy here, David Saltonstall and Erica Sofa. And I believe Eric Botcher, if he's not here, he will be joining us again soon. So many of us are familiar with Central Park Conservancy and are familiar with the park itself, but I think very few people know what the Transport Workers Union is and what they do. So full disclosure, Daria and I provided Christina with some questions ahead of time, just so that she could provide some context to us about their organization and how it relates to this issue tonight. Thank you. Christina, go ahead.
All right, guys, so my name is Christina Hansen. I'm a carriage driver and I'm the chief shop steward for TW Local 100 Central Park Horse Carriage Division. Transport Workers Union represents 45,000 members representing transport workers across the city, most of them the MTA workers, other tourism industries, and they represent the owners and carriage drivers in the carriages in Central Park. I personally have been driving commercial carriages for 19 years, including in Philadelphia, but 13 years here in New York City. I have a master's degree in history, and I am our industry historian, so I'm the keeper roller in sort of institutional lore and memory, of which there is a lot. Carriages for public hire have been regulated by the city of New York, licensed by the city of New York since 1692. Our rates have been set since at least 1813. And we have been giving carriage rides to the public in Central Park since the day the park drives were opened on the lower loop at the end of December 1858. We originally parked in cab stand 16, which is the north side of Central Park South, and in what is now Grand Army Plaza, which was originally designed by Olmsted as a parking lot for horse carriages for people visiting the park. Currently, there are 68 carriages operating in New York City, which means they're mostly operating in Central Park, as that is where we're restricted to during the day and at all times, because we do operate the streets at night with pickup and drop off from the park. That's where our carriage stands are. These medallions are like taxi medallions. They come out of the same regulatory system from the 1930s. And for the most part, they are individually owned and operated. So somebody owns a carriage, they drive it. They might have a driver who is an independent contractor who works for them on their days off or when they're on vacation. There are a few carriage owners who own 2, 3, or 4 carriages. So there are not giant fleets of corporate carriage. There's not like a big corporate industry. The 68 is the minimum number of carriage licenses that is regulated in the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection. There is a process for adding more, but when we tried to do that in the 70s and 80s, we were told at the time that the park cannot accommodate more than 68 carriages. So that's how many we still have to this day. So there's 68 small businesses, have approximately 200 licensed carriage horses at 3 stables in Hell's Kitchen at 37th and 38th Street. My horses live on the 38th Street stable and have a view of the vessel in the Hudson Yards. And at 52nd Street stable by DeWitt Clinton Park. That is the largest stable. About 2/3 of the carriage industry are housed there. And it's just right around the corner from NYPD mounted unit on 53rd Street, the Mercedes House. So that's the horsey neighborhood is Hell's Kitchen. And those 200 licensed carriage horses are either here in the city or on their vacation farms in Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and New Jersey. Every New York City carriage horse gets at least 5 weeks vacation outside of the city with daily access to pasture. And there are approximately 170 full and part-time carriage drivers active in the business right now. I think there's more carriage drivers licenses that are issued, but people just, have them even if they're no longer working. And as well as stable owners, approximately a dozen stable hands and our park sweeper. We make up a significant portion of the business for 2 farriers and a harness maker in Pennsylvania. And we have important economic impacts of feed mills, hay farmers, and mushroom growers. The carriage drivers and owners, of which the owners are very often the drivers themselves, so the owner operators are all represented by TW Local 100 since 2020, when we returned from our work post-pandemic. We were closed for 6 months during the pandemic. From March 2020, all our horses went on vacation. We opened in October of 2020 because we wanted to be here for Christmas for the locals. We are overseen by 5 city agencies. One of the truest things Bill de Blasio ever said about us was he misspoke. He meant to call us archaic. In fact, he called us arcane. There's a lot of stuff to the carriage business. We are an arcane business with a lot to know about horses, and a lot to know about our regulations. We're regulated down to what temperature our horses have to be blanketed. They have to wear raincoats when it's below 55 degrees and raining. The rate cards are regulated down to the font size, the size of the hoof numbers that we brand on the horse's hoofs. It's all regulated by the city. But just some of the highlights, if you're not familiar with our issue, by law, carriage horses can't be licensed younger than 5 years old or older than 26. They must be seen by a vet for a full physical exam twice a year. One of those visits, they get all their shots that are regulated by the health department. They have to go and see a vet when they go to and from vacation if they're going across state lines. And each carriage horse has at least 5 weeks vacation. I was just in London. The King's carriage horses get 6 weeks vacation. We don't tell our horses. Although household cavalry only gets 4. And police horses do not get vacation. They require this. There was a question they asked about, horses in the off season versus not. They require the same care year round. We just can't box them up in the wintertime. So that's why you'll see us out at work, whenever we can, because the horses enjoy the work. They like getting outside and exercising, even if it's a slow day. So a lot of horses do take vacation in the wintertime, but they take vacation in the summertime. A lot of the horses get far more than the 5 weeks the law allows. There are 4 licenses required for me to go to work every day. My horse has a license. That's the vet inspection, the twice a year, the furlough. I have a license that's issued by, I had to pass a carriage driver's course, which involved knowing all the rules and regulations, all the arcana, extensive tests. Matter of fact, there's one this week in terms of multiple choice questions, essay exams, oral exam for the city vet, and an apprenticeship with a licensed driver. 6-month probationary license. So I have a license that gets renewed every 2 years. The Department of Consumer and Worker Protection reviews our licenses when they renew and make sure that we have not committed any offenses that would deem us unworthy of a license. The carriage has a license, that's a medallion. It's inspected 3 times a year by DCA, Department of Consumer, DCWP rather. Physically inspected for its brakes, its lights, etc. Its rate cards, all the things. And that's renewed every 2 years. We're also required to have liability insurance and all of those things. And the stable itself is licensed by the health department, and it has to meet a wide variety of sanitation, ventilation, and, stalls and care for the horses. We have 24-hour-a-day stablemen. Our stables are fully sprinklered, and we're all very short drive from any FDNY stables. So like I said, these are overseen by 5 city agencies, most notably Department of Health, Department of Consumer Worker Protection, the Parks Department, because we are operating in Central Park, the Department of Transportation, because we are operating on the city streets, and that includes the park drives, and the NYPD itself, particularly the mounting unit of the NYPD, because they're the horse people. I was asked about inspections. Every complaint received by city agencies or the Office of Animal Welfare in the mayor's office is investigated. City agents from the Department of Health, DCWP, NYPD, or any other agency are allowed to inspect our stables, horses, paperwork at any time. I don't have exact numbers on how often that happens, but it is regular, and they're a matter of public record. Recently, in response to complaints from our friends over here at night class, the mounting unit was out doing inspections of the carriage horses and paperwork, as well as training Central Park Precinct on how to do it. They found no issues despite claims made by the activists. Dr. Corey, one of the city vets, has been in the park and in the stables today, in fact. Additionally, our own vet, Dr. Gabe Cook from New England Equine Practice, is in our stables every 2 weeks to do paperwork and the annual exams. On behalf of TWU, he looks over the other horses that are there. And if there's any requests from our union safety committee, to look at any particular horses, there's an issue that might have arisen. So with that said, in terms of like what we're here about, there was a bill intro 967. Eric Botcher and Bob Holden were the primary sponsors on that bill to ban carriage horses from New York City, to offer drivers job training, which this isn't a job for us, this is a way of life. And like I said, those medallions, those are small businesses. This is a bill to shutter small businesses. The stables are small businesses, and to offer some sort of job training for the drivers. It would also take away the horses from their homes and deprive them of the protections that they currently enjoy in the administrative code of the city of New York. So I know that I've been in front of Community Board 7 before. I know this issue comes up periodically. Really, in terms of, has anything changed? Not really. I mean, those regulations that are in effect are the same regulations that have been in effect since the 2010 law about expanding vacationing, mandating box stalls, the vet exams. We've been through the de Blasio administration. The big thing that has changed, and I think why we're here tonight, is in 2018, of course, the Conservancy, in its wisdom, finally, and with the city and the mayor's office, finally got cars out of Central Park. Hooray. And shortly thereafter, the carriage horses were moved off of Grand Army Plaza, off of Central Park South and into the park and into carriage stands located on the park drives at the entrances. At the time, new Central Park Conservancy President Betsy Smith praised this, getting with the cars as returning the park drives to the people that it was for, which are the pedestrians, the tourists, the cyclists, the joggers, the carriages. Because we have been there the whole time. Those park drives were designed for carriage driving. Olmsted designed the park to be seen from the back of the carriage. And when we were moved into the park in 2019, 9 months after the cars were gotten out, de Blasio did it so that he could say he got the horses out of the track. He was going to get rid of us entirely. He got us away from the cars when the horses were just standing on Central Park South. We were not given enough space in our carriage stands from DOT. We've been told that that was done deliberately to prevent carriages from working, even though we have this minimum number of 68 businesses that have to go out to work. Recently, the Conservancy did come out with a statement saying that they thought the time had come to basically demolish this part of the historic part of the park, to say that they no longer wanted carriages on the park drives. They said it was not about animal welfare. That part's been established. That's why we weren't banned in the Blasio administration. You can ask any equine vet. But the specific concerns from the Conservancy were damage to the park drives. We've had 68 carriages working on the park drives, which have been paved with asphalt, with horses with road shoes since the end of World War II, so for 80 years. The idea that our carriages and the wheels damage the park drives is ludicrous when you have big, heavy trucks coming in for all special events. In terms of where do the park drives and the paint and stuff like that, surely there's got to be ways to work around that. It's not something that was suddenly new. We didn't suddenly appear in the park. In terms of issues there were some concerns. We had very unusual incidents of some horses running away in May. There's a reason why it was in the news. That should not happen. There were some bridles that got pulled off of horses. There are solutions for that. We have been asking for hitching posts in our carriage stands since 2007, when we were out on Grand Army Plaza in Central Park South. Parks Department has not wanted to do it. When we moved into the park, we actually complained and said, where you've put us actually has fewer places to tie our horses up, because the park drives do not have the same street fixtures that Central Park South does. That has not been remedied. We've been working with the Conservancy for 2.5, 3 years. We got a water trough put in. TWU led the way on that. We have 2 other water troughs. That was supposed to be done when we got moved into the park. We've had a wish list involving improved signage, lower speed limits. None of that has come to fruition. I hope that it does someday.
All right, Christina.
Sure. All right, so I answer your questions,
All right,
but
thank you.
yeah, but
Thank you.
anyway, I know the historic nature of the park is such a way. I've been the biggest advocate for the historic nature of the park, our historic water trough at Cherry Hill, the park drives, and so it is disappointing to me that with the new park drive design, which we thought we were working with the Conservancy on, we had to ask when the new drive came out where we were supposed to go, because it wasn't clear on the park.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I want to, because the commanding officer is here from Central Park Precinct, and I want to always be respectful of the NYPD's time. I just wanted to reach out to him, to Captain Magliente, and ask if he has a view on this.
So we don't support legislation, or can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't support legislation. I'll come here and talk about the incidents that we had this year in the park regarding horse and carriages, which there are 3 incidents to involve collisions. So these 3 incidents involve horses getting loose. So there were 2 collisions this year where horses got loose and caused property damage and minor injuries, no serious injuries. And there was 1 incident where a horse got loose but did not have a collision with any kind of fixed object, and they had to corral that horse. So 3 incidents this year involving a horse. The 2 collisions are up from 0 in 2024. And just like any collision, a collision with a bicycle, a collision with a horse or carriage can be serious.
Right. Okay. I'm going to ask, do you have anything to add? Okay. All right, thank you. I want to turn to David and Erica. I know we've all read your statement, Betsy Smith's statement. It was very comprehensive, but if there's anything that you want to address right now, either from her letter or either what you heard Christina say, anything specific that you would like to add?
Yeah, thank you. If I could just respond a little bit to what Christina said and maybe underscore.
And we're all friends here.
We're all
Nobody's,
friends,
yeah.
My name is David Saltonstall. I'm the Vice President for Government Relations, Policy, and Community Affairs for the Conservancy. Thank you for giving us this time. I think I just want to stipulate at the top, as everybody here knows, I think the park is really crowded, and it's become more crowded, I would say, since COVID, in a way that's pretty dramatic. So I'll circle back to that. But in terms of why we came out now on horse carriages, I think a lot of things crystallized for us starting this spring into summer, when, as an initial matter, the repaving of the drives happened for the first time in a generation. Like really the paves had not been, the drives had not been repaved in something like 20 years in sort of the comprehensive manner in which they were. And very quickly, from our perspective, we could see that the lane where the horses were assigned, which never changed, they were always in the same lane by park regulation, were very quickly getting degraded in a way that you didn't really notice before when the drives were kind of messed up and had potholes and cracks and they've been old. But you had a side-by-side experiment now of like, this is where the horses go, and this is where other things go. And where the horses go, you know, you can see very quickly, and I would suggest everybody go out there if you haven't already, especially like along the East Drive. The pavement is already really degraded. And the striping, which literally went down like 3 months ago, in many places is now completely gone. So I think from a fiscal perspective, knowing that the Department of Transportation just spent something on the order of $5 million to repave this stretch of the drive, that this was an impact. This was a degradation of a public property that we were really sort of awoken to for the first time because you could finally see it. I think around this same time, there were also the horse breaks that Captain Magliente referred to. In one case, somebody broke their wrist trying to recapture one of the horses. There's another more recent incident on Labor Day where 2 tourists, passengers were left alone in a driverless carriage that went stampeding along the drives, broke a sign, broke a metal sign. Both of them had to bail out at high speed. This was on a busy holiday weekend. And that's concerning to us. I think we do see that as the park gets more crowded, the possibility of something really terrible happening in one of these breakaways is real. And finally, just from a public health perspective, I think, again, anybody who's been in the park, you see the manure that is left behind every day. You don't see the urine that is left behind every day, but there is lots of it, and it also degrades the drives. And I know the TWU says, and I know that they do have people out there who are charged with cleaning up when cleaning up is necessary. It doesn't happen in a methodical way, in an effective way. You see it every day. And I think we just chose not to ignore the public health ramification of that going forward. We have to think about the 42 million visitors to the park every year. And yes, there are 68 small businesses that are a part of that. But they are businesses catering mostly to out-of-town folks. I have the utmost respect for the history of carriage horses in the park and for the union. And I am not dismissive of the jobs that are at stake here. I get it, which is why we are grateful that Riders Law has provisions for job retraining and placement. We think that is the right way to go. It's phased in over 3 years. So we hear that, but I think a job that exists that at the same time degrades public property in a way that is real and noticeable and significant is something that can't be ignored. So that's where we came out on it. I know lots of people, I would also just say very briefly that, Christina suggests that we didn't weigh in on animal welfare because that issue is settled. That's not how we were thinking of it. We were just thinking that, we at the Conservancy are not veterinarians. We are not experts on animal welfare. We leave that to other folks. We are experts on the park. We have to take care of it, maintain it, worry about it every day. So it was through that prism that we decided to come out the way we did and support Riders Law, which at the end of the day is all we've really done. We think it's a responsible bill. We would love to see the council have a hearing on it and let the chips fall where they may. If it doesn't pass, it doesn't pass, but this is the democratic process. This is what's available to us. And so that's what we are availing ourselves.
Yeah. Actually, I just had 1 second, Audrey. I just had, if you could respond to one query about the new drives plan. What is the status of the horse carriages in that plan? Like, what is the plan? Like, if Ryder's law does not pass,
So the carriages, Christine
where
will
would
correct
they?
me, but as a matter of park regulation, have always been in the right-hand lane. That's where they're supposed to be. In the drive study,
Yeah.
the right-hand lane is intended as a shared space. It's not a e-bike lane, it's not a anything lane. It's for the carriages, it's for the pedicabs, it's for any vehicles that might be in the park. Anything that's not a slow-moving bike or a pedestrian belongs in that right-hand lane. And it's a shared space. And if legislation passes to ban e-bikes, then e-bikes won't be there. But that's not where we are tonight.
Okay. I see there are like a few hands up.
Should we hear from the council member? If he's still-
Oh, is he?
He's not yet.
No, he's not yet here. I've told Maisie to let us know.
We know.
Yeah, but he's not on anymore. We've told Maisie to let us know as soon as he gets on. Our intention was to hear from everybody and then go to questions. I think what we'll do, should we call on the public first or around? So in the interest of this being a community board, what we're going to do is hear from the community first. And then we will come and we will listen to everybody from the board as well. Okay. Just a second. Okay. So we'll ask, first of all, the people in the room who are here from the public to speak. I'll call on you in the order that I see here on the paper. And I think we'll give you maybe a minute each to speak. And there are a lot of you, so, you know, and if we have time, we'll circle back. But I really want to give everybody the opportunity to speak. So you're going to do the timer.
I'll do the
So
timer.
Denise Kelly. Who's Denise? Yes.
I'm just a long time.
If you could come closer to the mics. The mic, sorry.
Stand in the
Oh,
corner
So come
or,
to the table.
yeah.
No, it's okay.
No, you should.
No, but people on the Zoom will not be able to hear you.
No, like just stand over there.
Or you can sit on the seat over there.
Take someone else first and then.
All right, okay. Edita Bernpratt. Edita, thank you, Edita. Yeah.
So I'm executive director of NY Class, and we're a nonprofit animal protection organization. We work to pass legislation to protect animals. We rescue animals, including carriage horses who have ended up sent to slaughter. And I just want to draw your attention to the fact of the dangers these horses pose. Exactly 2 weeks ago on Labor Day, as David mentioned, a horse spooked, went berserk in the park. People ran for their lives. We spoke to many witnesses in the park who were terrified, traumatized when a 2,000-pound horse is charging towards you and you don't know where to go. It's terrifying. There was a baby shower party happening. This horse took off the road onto the grass straight towards this baby shower party. The pregnant woman was having her picture taken on a blanket. She just barely got out of the way to avoid being trampled. And that was the case for many others. And in terms of the officer who spoke earlier, there actually have been 4 known horse carriage runaway disasters that have happened in the park just this past summer. But
You're
there's
at 1
been
minute. Can you
over
wrap
a
it up?
dozen that have happened in the past 5 years. Horses are prey animals, which means when they are frightened, they have a hardwired instinct to run. This is what they do, so this is going to keep happening. So as long as we have horses in the park and on the streets, eventually someone's going to get killed, unfortunately. It has nearly happened many times.
Okay.
And the
Thank you.
horses, okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Linda Mann. Yes.
I am a long time Upper West Sider, and I encounter the horse-drawn carriages on a weekly basis. Central Park is my backyard. I completely support the Central Park Conservancy in their call for ending, and it is an archaic mode of transportation. We have not had horse-drawn carriages as transportation for over 100 years. I have personally had to run to get out of their way, and after 4 major incidents this summer that we know of, I would hope that the community board would support a ban. Certain things, yes, are historical, but should remain historical. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda, no, that's Christina. Steve Nisley.
I'm Steve Nisley. I'm the president of 9 Class. I founded it in 2007. I own a rescued carriage horse who rescued her when she was only 4 years old. She had foundered on both her front feet, and they were sending her to slaughter, where most of these animals go when they're finished with them. They buy them from the Amish. They're already damaged. They already have arthritis. And then they go to slaughter, which means they go to Canada and they get a nail gun in their head. So these are not humanely treated animals by any respect. The city does not have the resources to properly have these horses inspected. If they were given proper inspections, none of them would be on the street. They all have severe arthritis and other ailments, as witnessed from Ryder's death and the death of a horse a month ago from an aneurysm, which people, or Christina would say, is non-discoverable, but it is discoverable. If the horse was properly vetted, the horse would never be on the street. And this is how they live their lives. This is how the carriage industry treats them, because their primary job is to make money, because without making money, they can't survive. So their first priority is money, not horses.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Denise, are you? Thank you.
Frequenting the park as for years, and I have seen, not going to go into specifics, but I will say I have seen more abuses of the horses and conditions that they were walking in that was really sad. And it is kind of depressing to see it. But it's still on the 1890s. I get it. It seems so idyllic, but that is not the atmosphere these horses are working in now. And to get to the park too, there's risks there as well. But and it's very treacherous, the conditions that they have to go through. But the fast moving vehicles coming by, and as you know, Adina said, it can spook an animal. And this is one powerful animal. And I often wonder, what is the, who is handling these animals, and are they able to handle an animal in the stage that it is going through when it's spooked like that? These animals are dealing in a highly unnatural environment, which really is stressful. And I recognize that the decision, you know, by the Conservancy, and I can assure you that New Yorkers agree on, many of them agree on a ban on horse-drawn carriages. A survey conducted by a Zogby polling in September 2022 found that 71% of voters supported a ban on horse-drawn carriages.
All right, thank you, Denise. We have to.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe Council Member Eric Botcher is back, so we're trying to.
Well, he can speak.
We promoted him?
Yes.
We did. But
Yeah, there he is.
Yep.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
There you are.
Hi. Thank you for letting me call in. I really appreciate this opportunity, and I'm sorry that I'm in a poorly lit street. I'm not actually in the council chambers, if you couldn't tell. I want to thank all of you for taking up this issue. And I had heard that you were contemplating doing a resolution tonight, and I'm hopeful that you can, because it's a timely issue and it's an important issue. I think you've heard tonight from a number of people about why it's timely. The Central Park Conservancy, for the first time ever, has come out in favor of phasing out this industry. And I don't know if they had the opportunity to speak themselves tonight to outline the reasons why, but I think that we've seen in recent months just a few examples of why, with the runaway carriages in the park. And look, to me, it comes down to the fact that horses shouldn't be pulling tourist carriages in dense urban environments. And, the trek from the carriage houses to the park, nose to tailpipe traffic, it's just not right. And, I'm hoping that this is a time where we can make this change. And I really thank all of you for taking this up. And I'm very hopeful that you'll be able to do a resolution supporting the Conservancy and everyone else who's trying to make change to the system.
Thank you, Council Member. I just had a couple of questions, and then maybe somebody else in the room also has some questions for you. The bill that's on the table right now, it asks for just a complete decimation of the entire industry, and very soon, in less than 12 months. Why not, there was no consideration to phase it out, even maybe as the licenses expire. It seems very sort of ruthless in a way, for an entire industry. And I'm not going into the animal rights part of it.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about the industry itself.
I think those are all points to be negotiated. I think like with any piece of legislation, there's room for negotiation, but the starting point is getting the stakeholders to the table to have that discussion. And I think unless we have the momentum behind this legislation, there's no incentive to come to the table. Unless the legislation is getting a hearing and is getting momentum in the council, we need that momentum in order so we can come to the table, get all the stakeholders together and come up with, get suggestions for what kind of accommodations like what you talked about. And that's the conversation that I'm anxious to have. That's the kind of thing that a resolution from Community Board 7 would help us move towards.
So I'm going to go around the room and see if anybody else has any questions for you. I do have other questions, but I want to give others, maybe people on Community Board 7, an opportunity to ask. I don't think Councilmember Botcher has too much time, so please keep your questions brief and to the point. So Lottie, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do.
And then Barbara.
How are you, Councilman? Thank you for being here. I have a question about the men and women that make a living in this industry and in this terrible economy. What's the plan for the people when we vote to get rid of the industry? Who's gonna pay their bills? Who's gonna take care of their children, put food on the table, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Thank you.
Again, I think there's many different many cities have phased out horse carriages, from Mexico City to cities around the world, to Austin, Texas recently. New York is a holdout really among sorry, hit mute. New York in many ways is a holdout. So we can look to other cities and come up with other options and see what they've done to accommodate workers. This is to me, there has to be a way, and I just don't accept the fact that there's no possible way that this could ever happen. I think we have to really come to the table and work through solutions with all the stakeholders at the table.
Thank you. I think Barbara had a question.
I did, thank you. I was at a meeting along with two of my colleagues who were sitting in this room at the Central Park precinct the other night. It was very raucous. The room probably had 100 people. I think every person in that room was in favor of the horses, and they were wondering why nobody has taken care of the e-bikes, which is ruining everybody's experience and probably what spooked that horse that had an issue. And I'm wondering why, council member, you have the opportunity to bring up with the council banning the e-bikes that are ruining everybody's experience, probably including the horses in Central Park, and yet you choose to do it to get rid of the horses instead. Could you please explain?
I'm a believer that we could address multiple issues at once. I don't believe that we should say until we solve the e-bike problem, which is a big problem, that the horses should continue to have to pull carriages nose to tailpipe in midtown traffic. I think we can address all these problems at once. It's kind of like when, we've planted nearly 1,000 street trees in Council District 3 since I took office in 2022, and we have many hundreds of street trees more coming. And I talk about it and the importance of street trees, and people write me and say, why are you talking about street trees when we have homelessness and we have to, I think we have to address all these at once. I think, bringing horses from rural environments and plopping them down in the middle of Manhattan and having them carry drag carriages through rush hour traffic. I just think we should follow the example of other cities who phased this out, and we can do that and address the e-bike issue as well.
Thank you. Ken and then Audrey.
Yeah, council member. I read two things, and I'm coming at this from the perspective of trying to help the horses. Are you aware that pulling carriages in Central Park is a second career for many, if not most, of these horses who otherwise would be destroyed? So if I were a horse and I had a chance to vote on this bill, I think I would definitely vote against it, because this is what these horses are bred for. I'm a cyclist, and cyclists are nose to tailpipe in Midtown every morning and every evening, and so are pedestrians. So maybe we should do something about the tailpipes, but not get rid of the horses. And also, I think I read, and maybe you could tell us if you know about this, but there was a study that stress levels of the horses are actually lower when they're working in the city, which is what they're bred to do, than it is when they're on vacation.
I think, one of the arguments against phasing out the industry is that the horses would be killed or sent to the glue factory. And I just refuse to accept that that's the only way. I think that there are many again, we can look to one of the any of the many cities that phase this out and see what what plan they did for their horses. I just think that collectively, we have an opportunity to come together as New Yorkers and sit down around a table and say, how can we come up with a plan that works for the horses, for the drivers? And I think we can do it because we've solved tougher problems in our city's past, but we have to be willing to come to the table and have a real discussion about it and be creative.
Thank you. Audrey? Go
Yes,
ahead.
I think it's a matter of priorities. As a pedestrian in New York City, the e-bikes and the cars present major danger. Tourists love those horse-drawn carriages. If there's an issue about reducing the possibility of spooking horses, certainly there are ways to do that, but we need all kinds of professions in the city, and attracting tourists is very important to the economy. And I disagree with this bill totally.
Anybody else in the room who has a question for you? Go ahead.
Hi, Councilman Boucher. My name is Hayden Brockett. Thanks for being here. Your bill does have a workforce development program in it. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I couldn't hear you there. Sorry. But just to be clear, that it provides in there, I'm looking at it right now, for a support for workers who, like many of their forebears, had to transition out of this line of work. Is that right?
Could you repeat that last part? I apologize.
My point is that this bill has a provision to help the workers out who need to transition into a new line of work. Is that already in your bill?
Yes, and the details of that and how that works with respect to the carriage drivers, that's something that everyone involved is very eager to sit down and to talk through the particulars of how that would work. I truly believe that there is a way to work through this collectively if everyone's willing to come to the table and work through it together.
And just to follow up, my understanding is that the council actually has is planning to bring up a bill for mandatory daylighting of every intersection in the city. That is to make every intersection in the city safer, and that's a bill that's moving. We've already also had extensive hearings on EV safety bills, but I understand that your ask for us today is simply for a hearing on your bill, which has been introduced last year and hasn't even had a hearing. And I think that's what you mean when you're talking about having people get to have this conversation to address these problems, which we've seen.
Yes.
And so your goal, I understand, is simply for this community board to ask for there to be, moving forward on your legislation simply to the hearing stage. Is that right?
I think that, yes, I'm not familiar with the draft proposed resolution, but we do need a hearing. It was introduced years ago. I hate to have to go, but I'm speaking at the 50th anniversary of Jefferson Market Garden, and they're waving at me wildly through the window because I'm out on the sidewalk and I have to go inside. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So we were, yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask Christina a question?
Yeah, so.
Jefferson Market Garden.
Okay, all right, there's one member of the public.
You're on.
To speak.
So I am
Anna Bailey.
so proud to be
Case
with
Anna
tonight.
Bailey.
I think Kevin, that's Boucher speaking. I didn't,
we need to kick him
Hello?
off.
Let's mute him.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you give us a second? We're trying to.
No problem, no problem.
Art Butcher's muted.
He's been muted. He's been muted.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We've got Paisley Anna Bailey, who has a question. We also have Christina Papalian. Let's do Paisley first.
Hi, yes, it's more of a statement rather than a question. Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just really need to speak about how it is painfully obvious that the well-being of these horses are not priority of the drivers. I have video proof that I literally sent to the Conservancy and like all of the council members about this guy that is directly harassing me, calling me the FC word, which is my least favorite word of all, and just openly right in front of the public, in front of children, harassing me. I even called the cops and they didn't do anything about it, unfortunately. But his horse was, I thought the horse was about to collapse right there. It was standing in a pile of manure. It made me cry. I don't easily cry, but like to this day, I'm traumatized after I saw it. The horse, even the kids were staring at him. He just looked like he was about to fall over. He was anxious. And the carriage driver just like did not care at all. He was, openly harassing us. I wasn't even like yelling at him because I know some people are really passionate and they, yell at the drivers and stuff, but not me. I was like, excuse me, sir, like there's a sign that says you can't stand here. And he just did not care. And it just broke my freaking heart. And he is one of many that I've seen that just directly avoid their horses at all. Like me and Edita saw a guy sitting on the bench while his horse was just like left out there without anyone watching him. So the horse could have easily swooped and took off right there. And I counted 6 different people that weren't in the carriage with their horse that day, just one day.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Paisley. We'll move on to Christina Papillon.
Yeah.
Andrew will come back to you. We're just trying to, sorry.
Christina,
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I also have a statement to make. So I'm here tonight. Thank you everyone for giving me the opportunity. I want to support what others have said about the ongoing problems with the horse carriages in Central Park. So as someone who's in the park, 1, 2, sometimes 3 times a day, I can tell you firsthand that the coachmen do not care about the horses or the safety of the riders. They care about tourists spending money. The drivers are routinely breaking the rules. They park in the bike lanes. They're forcing cyclists into traffic. They idle illegally, blocking intersections. They make illegal U-turns with their horses in the middle of the running path. And oftentimes they're disregarding traffic signals. On top of that, I've seen horses limping. I've seen horses working in extreme heat. Over the summer, I would be out there in 90-degree heat, ensuring that the horses were going to be taking in. Oftentimes they'd leave and they'd come back a couple hours later. And so I understand that, it's a struggling environment, but with bikes zooming past, constant sirens, heavy traffic around the park, I can assure you that these are not isolated mistakes. This is a pattern of law breaking and neglect that puts both the horses and the public at risk. We've seen horses collapse, we've seen them bolt into traffic, and we all know that these accidents are entirely preventable with the removal of the horses. So the argument of tradition is ridiculous. I mean, if we hung on to every tradition from 160 years ago, what would that world look like today? And so urging the board here and everybody to really think about what the real reasoning behind this is and what we're willing to give up just to have the horses in the park. Is that a life? Is that another horse's life? So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Moving on to
Michael Petrelli.
How you doing, everybody? This is more of a statement than a question again, if that's okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right.
Yes, go ahead, Michael.
Oh.
Yeah, I think you might have accidentally muted yourself.
There we go. There we go.
Got me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. This is more of a statement than a question, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. I've been 40 years trainer, licensed in the state of New York, born and raised in New York City. For the last 2.5 years, I'm the guy that's been documenting and reporting the horses in Central Park. From the things that I've seen, this is with every trip. Lame horses that I report through the New York City DOH through a deed of burn grant and night class, where their own veterinarian has confirmed many times that these horses are in the park working lame, working underweight, bad feet, you name it, injuries. As for the disobeying and defying of what the rules and regulations of the New York City, the Department of Health, who oversees the health and well-being of the horses, the way these horses are confined in what I call equine prisons, 47 weeks a year, no grass, no grazing. Manhattan is the absolute opposite of what a horse needs. It is torture and cruel to have a horse in Manhattan right now in 2025. This is not 1853. But again, not only did they disobey the Conservancy, NYPD, they also get an attitude. And like the previous person said, they are abusive, reckless. And as for horses getting loosened, the reason they get loose is they don't attend to these horses.
Thank you,
Every day
Michael.
they get loose.
Thank
Loose
you very
every
much,
day.
Michael.
You got it.
We have to move on to Fawn Sullivan and then Jessica Zaponte.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep. Yes.
I just have a brief statement because I don't want to go over all of the points
Yes,
that
go
everyone
ahead.
else has made. I'm for banning the horses in the park and the city in general. I can't even fully enjoy going to the park because seeing the horses in their poor condition and being exploited is just too upsetting to me. I see it enough. I live near the stables where they're housed, and I see them, a lot of them limping back every night. I smell the stables from blocks away. It's disgusting. And I just want to say that Christina loves to say that the park was designed to see it by the way of horse and carriage, but it's 2025. Things have changed. Horses should not be in gridlock traffic or warehouse in these disgusting cramped stalls and buildings. And it's just really sad. And I hope you can take that into account and ban it in the park. Thanks.
Thank you. Jessica?
Jessica, you could talk.
Hi, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi. So I live near the park. I work near the park. I exercise in the park. I go to the park with my kid. When you spend as much time in the park as I do, you see the things that I think people have been speaking about here. But I wanted to respond to something that Ms. Hansen spoke about, various regulations, procedures in place, and alleged standard of care. But they're irrelevant because they clearly aren't working, and that's why we're all here today. I've seen what everyone else has seen: the injured horses, the spooked horses, the emaciated horses, carriage drivers just driving while looking at their cell phones. Like, we know this is happening. And what Ms. Hansen, notably didn't say is that there is any enforcement of these regulations or procedures, or that there's any independent vets that are examining these horses. I mean, this is an industry. The fact that these incidents are happening, even when all eyes are now on this industry, just shows that this is an industry that is incapable of regulating itself. It is just incapable of protecting the horses or the people in the parks. And it's time that something is finally done.
Thank you. Who's next?
Hello? Hello? Hi, I can't hear you. It seems the screen's frozen.
Go ahead, Greg. We can
Okay.
hear you.
My name is Greg Zucker. I am a 40-year resident of the Upper West Side. I'm actually a former carriage driver myself, back in the early 90s. It was a rotten industry then. No one followed any rules. No one obeyed any rules. They don't follow the rules now. My family's been here forever. The park is absolutely miserable with the horses. It stinks. It's disgusting. And these guys are constantly on their phones. It's a myth that anyone in that industry adheres to any rules. I'm sorry. And also, just with respect to the board members who think that there are other priorities, of course there are other issues to tackle. But you have an opportunity to tackle this issue now. Okay? You can walk and chew gum. I believe in you. All right? No offense, but to say that just because there are other issues out there, you should act on this issue because you have an opportunity to act on this issue. Okay, so thank you for your time and I appreciate everything you've done. Take care.
Thank you. Jennifer Garrett.
Hi, thank you so much. I also just wanted to make a brief statement and I thank everyone for taking the time to hear this issue. I can hear how seriously everyone is taking it and I really appreciate it. I used to live near the park. This issue is very important to me. I also grew up riding horses as a child. I love horses. I can't go to the south of the park anymore because when I see the abuse, when I smell the manure, when I see the traffic accidents just waiting to happen, it makes me physically sick. And so I've been doing everything I can to spread awareness of these issues and talk about this law. I hear a lot of the same concerns that people have expressed here. I just want to address a few of them again. There was one person talking about how these horses were bred. And as someone who grew up around horses, I wanted to make very clear these horses are certainly bred to be strong, which they are, but you cannot breed them to be oblivious to city traffic. You cannot breed them to breathe in these exhaust fumes, to work through 90-degree days and the harsh winters, to stay in a concrete stall, to never graze, never socialize with the other horses. And I want to be clear that the horses would vote in support of this law. And I ask you to please, please read this bill so you can see why. And that it would help provide a safe place for these horses much, much better than what would happen to them if they stayed in this industry. But again, I love horses and I'm very, very big in supporting them, but I also support the park and the people and the health issues that have been raised. And so I just wanted to address a few of those points. And again, this is abuse, plain and simple. It's outdated, it's dangerous, it's unworthy of Central Park. But I also just wanted to echo again, I think we should really focus on acting now, particularly, even if you want to put the animal rights.
Thank you, Jennifer.
To focus on the health.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have Michelle Wyman. You've been unmuted. You can go ahead and talk.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you so much, and thank you all for your time from the community board and for hearing this issue. I just wanted to underscore the points that David made from the Central Park Conservancy. I do actually agree passionately with the speakers that have come directly before me regarding the health and the protections of the horses, the risks that they face and their vulnerabilities. And I think the points that David made and the letter that the CPC published is spot on. If nothing else, we have data now that the city invested $5 million in 2/3 of repavement of the park. And already those parts of the repavement where the carriage horses are going every day are showing excessive wear. From a public taxpayer perspective, I can tell you that I'd like to see my dollars better invested and better protected. So those protections need to be addressed. The investments need to be protected. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, okay, Andrew, you had a question.
Yeah, I have a question for Christine. Does your organization enforce any rules about not taking horses out if the temperature is above a certain degree?
Well, actually, the city of New York does. So the rules in New York City are that we do not work if it's above 89 degrees or below 19 degrees or blizzards, hurricanes, tornadoes, or hail's adverse weather conditions. There was a law passed in 2019 that added a equine heat index component. If it's 80 degrees or above and the temperature plus humidity is 150 or greater, then that is also a heat suspension and we have to take the horses home. That is enforced by the mounting unit of the NYPD. If the Department of Health's official thermometer, that temperature is measured in our 3 carriage stands at the park. So it's not what your phone says. It's not the temperature at LaGuardia. It's the actual temperature where the horses are. Because I know sometimes people say, well, 90 degrees, but the horses are standing on the sun in the hot pavement. The mounting unit is actually there in the sun, and very often we're sent in when your phone might say 86 or 87 degrees. We get a text message. We're all subscribed to it. Text message tells us there's a heat suspension underway. We have 30 minutes to complete any rides in progress because horses don't teleport. So we're allowed to finish our ride. We don't just like abandon people in the middle of the park and run back to the stables. Then we're allowed to rest and water our horses at the park before proceeding back to the stable. That whole heat suspension process takes about between an hour and a half.
Sorry to interrupt you. If there was 1 or 2 or 10 carriage operators who didn't comply with that rule, how would you know that if everybody is back at their stables at some point?
Well, I mean, that's what people on the street are for. Everybody has a cell phone. You can sign up to the text message from the health department to know whether or not the horses have been suspended or not. One of the things that gets said a lot is, I saw a horse out when it was 90 degrees. And they're not supposed to work when it's 90. Well, we have to be out there until it's 90 to then get the cue to go home. Because if it's 89 degrees, we're working. We have the lowest stop work temperature in the country. And that temperature of the 89 degrees has been in effect since 1989 as a matter of law, and in practice since 1982. And we've never had an issue with, heat illness in the horses. So it is one of those regulations that is strictly enforced and strictly adhered to. And it is one of the ones that the health department and the mountain unit takes seriously.
One last question. I noticed when you gave your starting speech, you said the horses are examined twice a year by vets.
Yeah.
But are they also examined as necessary?
Yeah, if there's an issue with a horse, of course, we call the vet. Because horses, like any living being, like you, like your dog, your cat, can get sick. And when that happens, we have all kinds of veterinary protocols, call the vets. We have, equine vets that work with the police department. We have with Dr. Cook, we have the ability to go to this 24-hour-a-day emergency equine hospital. We have the whole staff of vets. So it's not like, they only see the vets for their, as things are.
Where are these vets?
So Dr. Cook is based out of Westchester County. He has a 24-hour emergency hospital.
How would the animal get to Westchester County?
We have a horse trailer. Yeah, we have a horse trailer. So we take the horses there. Or, the vets can come to us. Dr. Sierra, who's the equine vet for the police department. The police department's literally right around the corner. He's there a lot for their horses as they need them. One of the things that I haven't heard in this discussion about nose to tailpipe and horses belonging in the city and asphalt and everything, that is that the police department has horses in Manhattan who work in Times Square, who work in busy environments. The Parks Department has horses that work in the park, that work in other parks around the city. Horses have been living on Manhattan for 400 years this summer, and there would not be cities except for them and them being here. So I just wanted to add really quickly, and then we'll get back to other questions. I love talking about the subject, is that the horse, talk about the degradation from the horses. The horses are also additive. They add to the city. They bring something meaningful to people's experience of the park. The park is a work of art. And Olmsted wanted it to be seen, not just from the back of a carriage, but if you were walking in the park, you would see the horses moving on the carriage drive, making the horse look beautiful. The idea that we're just.
We do have someone in the Q&A had asked, excuse me, I'm talking, excuse me. Someone in the Q&A had asked, who enforces the long list of regulations the TWU speaker is listing? I hope that answered the question. Okay, are there any other questions in the room? Are there any questions on the Zoom? CB7 members? Okay, nobody on Zoom. Okay, okay, go ahead.
I have a question for these folks, Central Park Conservancy and Christina Lottie. Did you folks meet and have conversations with the city councilman and amongst yourselves before bringing this here?
Yes and no.
We work pretty closely,
Yeah.
like we engage pretty often. I mean, we're in the park every day. I'm in the park every day. Christina is, so we talk and connect.
So we have been working with the Conservancy extensively on a number of issues with the union about ways to improve where we are in the park. The park stands, should we have more parking space? Because we've not been given enough stands. That's up to the DOT. Conservancy has input on that. The water trough that that TW we found and the city installed at our 7th Avenue stand, we worked with that. I work with Eric all the time about maintenance issues in the park, where there's been vandalism or damage.
But I'm asking about this.
So this
bill
particular
is
issue.
The bill.
Yeah, so when it comes to the Conservancy letter, no, we did not have like a conversation about that before the Conservancy took that position.
What about Eric Botcher's bill?
And Eric Botcher has not met with the, we've met on Zoom, the union over the bill. He has not been to the stables. We've had relatively limited conversations with him. It is, it's difficult to, as a carriage driver, to hear a council member talk about what's going to happen to the drivers when he hasn't really talked to the drivers.
Okay, all right. There were some folks from NY class who seem to have something to say.
Oh, right. Well, I just wanted to say that there's obviously two sides to things.
Of course.
Last month the horse dropped dead. There is no independent oversight for these horses. The veterinarians that see these horses are only paid by the carriage industry. You had a horse trainer that was on who has 40 years experience. He sees lame horses. Imagine these horses are allowed to work until they're 27, which is the equivalent of a 85-year-old person. Imagine an 85-year-old person with severe arthritis and untreated foot injuries in agony with every step, being forced 10 hours a day on pavement. You never touch grass. You go back to buildings on the far west side up steep ramps. You're in a tiny stall. This is everything that makes life worth living for a horse is taken away from them. But I just want to point out that the lack of regulation and enforcement, there's constant law breaking in the park. These horses are suffering. That's why so many of them collapse, drop dead, either on the streets, which just happened last month, in their stalls, but the ones that are silently suffering. Horses are strong animals, but they are sensitive animals and they don't deserve to be treated as machines.
Oh, thank you. I think Daria, you had some.
Yeah, I had a question. Are there any reforms or compromises the TWU would support besides, like, have you discussed possible alternative solutions related to a lot of the issues here?
Okay, so the question of compromise gets brought up.
Briefly.
Yeah, briefly. I've heard Adita say the same talking points as 2010, and she said it about horses in Philadelphia.
And they're not working, there's no horses in Philadelphia.
All right.
So the point is, they don't want any horses. We want horses. So for the rest of the public that wants horses and just wants to ensure that the horses are being well taken care of, they are currently being well taken care of. What are the things that we would like?
They're dropping dead on the streets.
Okay, excuse me. If you, excuse me. No.
Stop interrupting, please.
Stop interrupting. Please, you have to stop interrupting. This is not the way this meeting is going to be run. I hope you understand. Thank you very much.
You can raise your hand again later, but you can't interrupt.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You did talk, we listened.
Okay, thank you.
You know, so we would try to work with the Conservancy and the DOT about additional parking spaces for our horses that weren't on hills, that we had enough space. You know, hitching posts in the park.
Right.
We'd like to work on some solutions about, you know, about manure issues.
I'm specifically talking about, it sounds like this is the discussion relates to whether or not you can phase this industry out in some capacity. And the question is there any way that you guys could consider to phase this out with, that would work for with your industry? For example, not issuing new licenses, having people naturally retire, some way to wind it down, but in a way that's fair to everybody. Have you looked at any different
Well, we've certainly
solutions?
talked about the elephant in the room, which is real estate.
Which is what?
Real
Okay,
estate.
right, understood.
Yeah, so there are real estate pressures on the stables over in Hudson Yard.
Yeah.
There's been lots of discussion over the years of how many square footage of development it would free up if only we could sell our.
So that's a separate discussion, right?
but
So
so-
the question I was asking
I think it's part and
specifically.
parcel.
It's all
I
related.
don't,
Why we're here.
none.
So, I mean, in terms of like.
I understand the
So
real
like,
estate.
so when I say
angle
this
too.
compromise, we want horses.
Right.
We think horses belong in New York City. Horses built the city. They built Central Park. They were part of the elements of the park design.
I understand.
So are there ways to relieve some of the real estate pressures to have a smaller industry, have an industry that's housed entirely in the park, to honor the vision of Olmsted, to honor this tradition, to honor the workers who, I mean, we love our horses. You're asking us like, do you want to cut off an arm?
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. So
Yeah,
I think you answered
Actually-
the question. And then I just wanted to
Yeah.
point out that, you know, what you're stating though is that there's a very hard line, which is that you want to keep the industry
We want to keep
specific
horses.
and that there is no vision for you to at all to phase this out even after you guys retire. You want the industry to continue past your
I'm 45,
tenure.
I'm 45 years old, okay?
Right.
My mother told me I could be anything I wanted to be when I grew up.
Thank you.
So
Okay.
I want to be a carriage driver. 20
All
years
right.
from now.
We are at 8:30 p.m. I want some final words from people. Okay, we haven't
Final, we
heard
haven't
from,
started to go around.
from Adam.
Yeah.
So we'll hear from Adam. Ethel, did you want?
Yeah.
Adam, then Ethel, then Doug. And then we'll come back to Barbara. Adam, go ahead.
So thank you for having me. I came mostly to talk about the Bethesda Fountain, but this has been very
Adam,
illuminating.
come on.
But
You're late.
I think this is
Why don't you
helpful
get
in
off?
that like I've
Goodness,
learned a lot tonight about this. And as someone who's kind of like new to this and didn't really have a view on this before, what I kind of heard, if I were to like try to synthesize everything, is we heard a lot of folks from the public, I think exclusively from the public, saying that they were interested in horses not being in the park going forward. And then from CB7, like what I've heard from members is some questions about like how that could happen. So kind of what I was thinking maybe would make sense, and again, I know I'm not on parks, is it seems like there's definitely movement to like have a discussion at the city council about this bill. It seemed like Eric was saying we need to have a hearing on that bill, and that will allow us to figure out like what the negotiated phase out would look like. So I kind of think that there might be like a middle ground here to say like, you know, CB7 is not, you know, doesn't think the bill is perfect right now, obviously, but is interested in like the city council giving this bill a hearing and coming up with a way to phase out the horses and deal with like all of the concerns that people have said. So that would be like my suggestion.
And
having, like-
CB7 would testify at such a hearing, right?
Yeah.
And CB7 could say like, these are the things we're concerned about, like, but it really sounded like from what Eric was saying is that legislatively, you have to have a bill that's like pretty aggressive to be like, it ends January 1st, 2026 or whatever it was. But then in the process of that, once it gets moving, they could figure out how exactly the phase out happens and everything. So
Okay.
I know I'm not on this committee, but that would be kind of my suggestion that I think solves a lot of these issues.
Ethel.
Thanks. I really appreciate, excuse me, the discussion. I was thinking we are thinking of the horses and the carriages, some of us, as in a Jane Austen novel, maybe. And we are looking at the horses and carriages and Central Park in the history, the glorious history of New York and the romantic history of New York. I still believe in the romance of New York. This particular activity is no longer viable. I am sorry to say. There might be a way for those of the drivers and others to find another time and place or do something else. I appreciated the council member, but I didn't hear enough from him. Maybe he hasn't developed it yet to make the bill something that can be sensible, reasonable, careful, but know that it's got, the horses have to go. Lastly, you think I'm going to be saying something that's not about horses, but you know what's really terrible, and separately, others of us are dealing with this, are the difficulties of bicycles and everything in the park, the danger, the absolute madness of the particular class of people who are riding the bikes and no enforcement and so on.
Yeah,
We
Ethel,
are in-
that's
okay,
not,
and
that's
just
not
one
today.
more sentence.
Not today.
One more sentence, thank you. If the committee is going to make a resolution tonight, it may be that we really do need more time to think about it. But on balance, I think sadly, but necessarily, the phenomenon, the horses, all of that must go now, as soon as possible.
Thank you. Who was next? Who did I say? Did I say?
Doug.
Oh, sorry, Doug.
Oh, okay.
Doug, go ahead.
First of all, I too, like Adam, learned a lot tonight, and this is something that I've been thinking about for my entire life. I do think, even though some of these issues are taboo and we're saying we're not going to talk about things, I think a lot of the issues are inextricably intertwined. This is employment of an industry of human beings. This is animal welfare. This is the condition of the park. This is the possible real estate that's been brought up. That's an interesting one. I think they're all related. What I would say is that we're talking about having a hearing. Excuse me, Ethel, could you please?
I'm leaving.
Okay, but I'm in the middle of talking, so take your conversation outside or stay here. No, I'm really, no, because I'm here, this is as a joint committee, and so we took our night off to be here. Otherwise, I'd be at the 20th precinct tonight. So this is a serious issue and a lot of things at stake. I heard Eric Botcher asking that we move to a resolution. And I actually think it's a little misleading to say that we are going to ask for a hearing at City Council when it's pursuant to a specific piece of legislation. He wants us, and I don't blame him. He has a bill that he would like to put forward. He is asking for the support of that bill, not the support of just a hearing, it's the support of a hearing pursuant to a bill. So let's call it what it is.
Correct.
And you know, whether you support it or not. Look, I actually, all of the other, look, I have great respect for the Conservancy. I think we have the best park in the world. But I have to say, this is for me, I believe that the way to think about this, I actually believe that some of the safety issues, and please forgive me for anyone who spoke on it, I think it's more of a red herring. I think there's secondary and tertiary concerns because I think they're de minimis. Whether there were 3 incidents or 4 incidents, the NYPD was here to, yes, there are risks involved, but I actually think for me, the question is animal welfare. Is this cruel to horses or not? I don't have enough information to know what I have a question about, and I don't know if we can get the answers today, but I think we need to do research, which is of all the agencies that you so eloquently explain that you are subordinate to and have to answer to, how many infractions of all these kinds of rules and regulations have there been? Have there been any violations for animal cruelty? Have there been any health condition reports? Have there been any building structure reports, employment? I want to know the history of all of the agencies and if there have been any enforcement and any infractions, because that would help me make a decision. There are allegations here that there is no enforcement, but I'd like to know. So anyway,
Okay.
yeah, that's
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, I think Barbara,
No, it's Ken. and
it was
Barbara.
Ken, Barbara, and then John. Yeah, go ahead. Hayden, sorry.
Okay, first of all, there's clearly a market for these horses. People, you fly on an airplane to the United States and you see a picture, videos of Central Park and people riding on horse carriages on the Loop Drive. And they've been in business for what, 175 years. Do we want to be the ones who are going to pull the plug after 175 years? I just also want to make sure that people understand what my point was about the horses voting in favor or against this bill, because Councilmember Botcher, I don't think understood. But if it's not about the horses currently in service, they would probably be taken care of. It's about any future horse that's in Pennsylvania that a farmer doesn't want anymore, that's put up for auction, and he would get bought by the horse carriage industry and come to New York and work. If he doesn't get bought at auction, what happens to him? He gets destroyed. So it's for all the future horses that, are, I think, would vote against this bill because they wouldn't live. They wouldn't have a second career.
All right, thank you.
And I just also want to make sure people, we've been sort of dancing around the real estate thing. Do people know what this is about when people say the real estate?
No,
No,
bring that
okay,
up, yeah.
okay. It's the stables are in Midtown are sitting on very, very valuable air rights.
Millions of dollars
And,
for-
and they are very developable, and there are connections between the people who started NICLAS and the real estate industry.
Okay, thank you. Who is next?
I think I am.
Barbara, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I just want to point out that in case everybody did not get a chance to read the documents that Natasha and Daria sent, 2.5 years ago, this board, full board, voted 34-3 in favor of the horses. I personally do not believe that the horses are abused. I make a point of stopping, and I've spoken to many carriage.
When you say you in favor of
drivers.
horses, you mean in favor of horse carriage industry? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's part and parcel of what
Yeah.
Central Park stands for. Oh, New York, like I said before, get rid of the e-bikes and control the bicycles, and maybe, sorry, yeah. But definitely the e-bikes, which not only spook horses, but they spook people too. They scare the daylights out of us.
Okay.
But I have a question that I want to ask the Conservancy, just a little question. But anyway, my question. So you have spoken both here and at the precinct about the fact that the drives are being eroded by the horses, and that the paint is coming off even though they haven't been there for that long. So my question is, why don't you use a different kind of material for the lane that the horses are on, something that's a little stronger than the asphalt? We know just from being pedestrians in the middle of the street that asphalt, they have to redo our streets every other year because they do degrade very quickly. And also in terms of paint and signage and everything that's on the ground, you could use inlays, which a lot of places do, and then they never come off. So the paint is just maybe not made for horses, but it's not made for bicycles and e-bikes and people either. So.
Okay.
Shall I respond?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's the Department of Transportation's job to take care of the drives. They choose the materials that are used. I don't know that Christina would want a concrete lane. I don't think the horses would like that very much. I think you're suggesting that we should repave 1/3 of the drives for the benefit of 68 private operators. Is that what you're suggesting? Because I think that surface would probably not be appreciated by joggers and
I didn't
walkers.
say concrete, I don't know.
You keep saying for the benefit of the 68 carriages. It's also everybody else who gets to ride the carriage. It's also everybody else who gets to see the horses in the park and experience them in the park.
All right, thank you,
We
Christina.
understand
Christina,
that
we have to move on
Yeah,
with
we
the
understand that
conversation. All right, who was next?
It was
Okay, Hayden and then Lottie, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, sure. I'm new to the community board. I want to build on what Adam did and sort of, summarize what I've heard, because this is not an issue that was top of mind to me. I heard the public unanimously, of those, unless I missed something from the public, say that they wanted to show up here to remove horse carriages from the park. We heard the Conservancy say that after the resolution that was passed with a high margin out of this community board 3 years ago, they've changed their mind and they actually agree with the public that there need to be horse carriages out of the park. Doug had a great point that we, as a community board, need a little bit more information potentially about the ways that the current laws are being enforced. There's clearly a huge dispute between the public and the union. I'm a union member myself. I'm very sympathetic to the union's perspective, but there is a dispute between the public and the union about whether the regulations that are supposed to be enforced by the city are in fact being enforced, and whether the data that we might have can be trusted if the law enforcement is not actually doing what it's supposed to be doing. I think we can all admit, I've heard a lot about whether law enforcement is doing everything it can be doing in terms of enforcing bike laws. So maybe there might be a question about whether the city agencies are in fact enforcing the laws when it comes to these 68 licenses. So that would be a very important thing for me. I think all of that can happen in a hearing. I think that is a sensible way of going forward. We're at September, the council session ends in December. I hear your point, Doug, about it being potentially a little bit one-sided to say this bill should move forward, but we all know that that you can't have a bill move forward without there being a hearing, and that the amendment process at the city council level happens a lot. So if this is the first time that the community board has been asked to speak on this since 2022, there have been significant developments, it sounds like. Setting aside obviously the very, very scary videos that I had never seen before about horses being spooked for whatever reason, that didn't happen.
We didn't have e-bikes then.
I think we had e-bikes in 2022. I remember them a lot.
All right, we need to
But my
wrap
point-
this up.
but
Can you just
absolutely.
wrap
So my
it up?
point is that
Thank you.
we've been asked to have this meeting, and if the community board is going to do anything rather than just not respond to the new data, I would be in favor of us supporting a city council hearing on this issue. I think that is something that maybe everybody, certainly the public, has been asking us to do, is to have us weigh in on whether there should be a continued hearing at the city council. This bill has been bottled up in committee since June of 2024, and we're being asked now by the Conservancy to do something with new data. And I think that would be a good way to address a lot of the concerns that we've heard today.
I think we should read the bill
All right.
first.
Then Lottie, she was.
Lottie, okay, very
after Hayden.
quickly.
Yeah. My suggestion is that the parties involved, including the city councilman, all get together and kind of figure stuff out before involving and asking, us to weigh in. There's too many loose strings and not enough concrete evidence and information. $5 million for pavement sounds steep to me. We've had, I work in the school system. We've had the schoolyards paved and it's $150,000. And they're huge schoolyards. So I don't know how, how that is. I mean, I would love to see documents, and evidence. I would like to have an evidence-based conversation. And I think it's important that the parties involved try to come to their own resolution before asking me for a vote, or any of us for a vote, is my take on it.
Okay, thank you. I think, it's quite late and we've had extensive conversation. Is it true that I know this is not about e-bikes, but is it true that the e-bike pilot in New York City parks is about to come to an end in December of this year? Is that correct, or is that not correct?
I don't know the exact date when the pilot's gonna come to an end. Parks Department was speaking on that on last Wednesday at the precinct. Did they say when it was gonna?
I thought somebody said that it had
For another year.
sunset and then at the
It
end
was
of this
extended.
year.
It was
wa-
extended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was the end of this year.
I
End
think
of
it's the end of this year.
this December of and then they will rule on whether to continue the pilot or to make it permanent or to disallow e-bikes in parks. Just for everybody's context,
Thank you
because
for
people
that.
have talked
Thank
about
you.
that as well. Anybody wants the last word? Okay, I'll give David the last word.
I would just say there is also a draft bill in the council to ban e-bikes. And this is the democratic process. This is why we have community boards. This is why we have a city council. And I agree with the gentleman that the place to work this out is in a council hearing. Just like the place to work out banning e-bikes is in the city council. Have a hearing. Let's all go and we'll all testify. And the legislators who we elect to make real decisions about hard issues, and this is a hard issue. They can do their jobs and vote up or down. And so I don't know why we're scared of a hearing on something like this that really, people are very passionate about on both sides. And
Okay,
let's just
thank you.
take
Thank
it to
you.
where it belongs.
So, as everybody remembers, at the top of this meeting, we took the possibility of doing a resolution tonight off the table. So we're going to stick to that. We need more information. I wish Councilmember Eric Botcher had answered our calls. We were in touch with him as late as Friday. I wish he had committed to us that he would come back then. We would have sent him written questions. I have a lot of questions about, for instance, the real estate. There are 3 stables, all of them are located in his district. I do not agree that they're separate issues. I want to know why NYPD horses are not included in this bill. Why is it just the horse carriages? You know, the NYPD horses are out in the city streets more. So I understand that. Anyway, I'm just saying that right now, I'm in favor of just tabling this for maybe next month, maybe the month after. This has been a good conversation, but as of right now, we are not in a position to do a resolution. And I apologize to anybody who had that expectation, but you know, thank you.
Thank you, and I want to extend an invitation to Community Board 7. So any members of Community Board 7, if you want to reach out to the chairs here.
Right.
Happy to have you guys at the stable. Range of different
Thank you.
events, like that.
Thank you.
Can I just drop
Did
in
you-
without making an appointment?
Did you have a
I
question?
just wanted to say, I know there's, every animal welfare organization in the country, including the ASPCA, which started the animal welfare movement, fully supports getting these horses off the street strictly on the humane issues. The ASPCA was founded in the 1800s on the issue of horse carriages being abused. They actually created the first animal welfare laws because of that. They are fully in support of this. Their headquarters is on the Upper East Side. Humane Society of the United States, Animal Legal Defense Fund, hundreds of horse rescue groups, veterinarians, every animal welfare organization in the country. So I understand people have strong feelings, but I think the question of whether this is cruel, you just have to look to the fact that San Antonio, Texas has banned horse carriages,
Okay,
Chicago,
thank you.
Philadelphia, all of these
Thank
cities
you.
around the world.
Thank you. We need
So let's
to,
take our blinders
thank you
off.
very
No,
much.
we
Thank you
have
very
that
much.
data.
Okay.
That data we have.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who came
Thank
to
you.
talk on this topic. Very, very quickly, 2 items in old business. Perhaps some of you read that the West 79th Street Marina and Dock House design has been approved by the PDC. It's taken a long time coming, but it's happened. And then Matt Genrich from DPR had a bunch of announcements. He couldn't be here today, but I'm going to, instead of make those announcements, I'll send them out to everybody via email. Thank you.
I have a question, if I could, new business
Yeah.
for the Conservancy? May I
Oh,
ask?
you should, they just left.
Shout loudly. Okay, well, I'll tell you what it is. Maybe we could put it on the agenda, but at the
Okay.
southeast portion of Pond in Central Park near 59th Street,
Okay, yeah.
there are these tree roots that are very large and sticking up
Okay.
and really hazardous, trip hazards
Yeah.
for a lot of people. And so I wondered if we could have them address that.
Could you put that in an email and I will forward it to them?
Yeah,
so
sure,
that
of
you
course,
can,
of
you know,
course.
so that it comes
Yeah.
directly from you. I don't want to misspeak
Yeah,
like
okay.
about the location or anything.
I have another thing, but I'll put it down.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Motion to dismiss?
Second,
Okay,
all in
great.
favor?
Thank
Thank you,
Thank
Natasha.
Thank you.
And Daria.
Yes, thank you.
You know, and people on Zoom, but they don't have to talk because as you can see. from the way that-
There are other additional.
Huh? So I can.
How are you?
It's just hard because you see,
Well, they didn't pass it around, so I didn't have a choice but to wait for the end.
I think
we should be.
Yes, done with the meeting.
And you have and obviously it's just has plenty of stuff. But I, as a board, I want us to know more.
What did the east side do?
Carriage.
What did the east side do last time?
Oh, of course, I don't know.
CBA.